Good afternoon. We have a very unique personality, and phenomenon with us, Balarishi Vishwashirasini. While people call her like that, I call her Queen of Sound. Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. Thanks for being with us today. I just want to start. Why do people call you Balarishi?
I just started my spiritual journey, the journey towards my internal process when I was 10 years old. And I was talking a lot about the seers and the ancient rishis. And I had a lot of glimpses of rishis and siddhas. So one is that I was starting my journey when I was 10. So I was a Bala. So people fondly calls me Balarishi because I had a lot of memory and insights about rishis at that time. And then Balarishi became my name.
So very nice to know that the people named you Balarishi. And so in the Indian Sanatana Dharma custom, there are different words we use, and all seems to be very similar or same to me. We call yogi, we call yogini, we call rishis, we call swamis and seers, and also gurus. And is all of them are same or little different? Or is there any rationale behind all of it? Or it's a tradition we follow?
See, one thing is this is also a tradition according to the lineage or according to the, the pathway they follow. For example, a yogini or a yogi is someone who is more connected to the aspect of inner realization, which is connected to medication and internal practices like dhyana, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. So when they have a proper disciplined way of doing that, they are called as yogi and yogini. So yoga and yogi or yogini doesn't mean that it is something connected to a yoga which we are talking about, like the hatha yoga and other things. Yogi or yogini, there can be nada yogini, there can be nada yogi, and there can be many kind of yogis, because we have plenty of way and plenty of branches to connect ourselves to the internal realm. So yoga is one of the pathway. The yoga is like a entrance where one has an opportunity to explore the body and the sound. So similarly, when you call a sadhu, it's a general name, and when you call a rishis, probably their aspect of having the connection with the universe, the cosmic energy, and within themselves is different. See, they all are one in one way. That is that they are all aligned towards the divinity. So in that way, everyone are one and the same. But every name has its own uniqueness. So when you call about Siddha, they have a very specific practice called Vasi Yoga. And they also have very specific connections to the herbs, aushadas. And it is like talking about them is going to take its own time, because they talk about the paramanu, the subatomic particles, to the cosmic universe. So that's why they are an explorers. So they are before scientists, and they are explorers, and they brought so many things, and still many things. Science is behind spirituality, and spirituality has been much more advanced. But now science is slowly revealing what all our ancient masters has contributed. So everybody has their own contributions, and their name has that significance.
Very interesting to know. I want you to take us to little more to enlighten us on a specific thought which I have. This is a theory developed by myself, which is not read anywhere or anything else. I felt it has come to me of this theory. The Brahma rishis we call Vasishta, Agastya, Parasaram. There are a lot of rishis named there. We also today, when we talk about regular lineage of an individual human being, they trace back to some rishi of the ancestor, and they use to refer their ancestor a specific gotra they call, which refers that which rishi's lineage have come. So my own assumption or imagination or revelation about There are few hundred extraordinary individuals of these names: Kashyapa, Bharadwaja, Vasishta, Agastya, all of these people. As you rightly said, the word you said, explorer, the people they were trying to take the nature into a different level and trying to manage the universe and experiment that. So I get a feeling that few hundreds or few thousands of this extraordinary being, they have dedicated themselves to be one with the nature, to sustain the nature and run the universe for a very long period. And they may not be available in a physical form on a grass level, on a planet Earth, or in this plate, but they are always present, and they continue to run this universe in a way to balance it everything. And that is my thought process. And this, they have not done it like on any extraordinary situation or a miraculous power. They have got a deeper, the way today science is revealing about DNA, gene. They were all mastered this in a different frame, in a different plane long back. Either it is a quantum science or a genetic science. They have mastered all of this, and their knowledge, all of this, they combine and they ensure that certain lineages forms so that the Mother Earth as well as the universe is sustained, and they continue to manage. This is my own thought process about rishis. And I also believe that the closest person to you who can guide you spiritually is the lineage rishi you have come from. And like your family deity and family rishi for you, since you have come from this lineage, you have an easy call to him. And this is all my own thought process. And I would like you to correct or think or modify or tell whether whatever I'm thinking is just an imagination or there is some relevance to it.
No, absolutely. Whatever you talk is it has its own insight, and I am able to connect with what you're saying, because this is very fascinating, isn't it? That the gurus and the rishis who has been there from the ancient period has imparted the knowledge in such a level that still we carry it in our DNA. So DNA has come very, very later. This concepts has come very, very later. But we all knew even before the science said that we are carrying their knowledge in some way, in some rhythm. But all their insights and all their guidances and all their knowledge is somewhere imparted through the aspect of DNA and through the aspect of our tradition that has been maintained in some levels. So I feel even sometimes the world lacks its own clarity. This kind of knowledge that is imparted by our DNA is going to somewhere bring that clarity and the insight and the aspect of sattva and the wisdom again. So when I'm thinking about what you are saying, it just also says that even whatever turbulence the world comes across, we are going to be safe at some point, that we have our protection in our own system in some way, through our lineage, through our DNA, and if I have to put it in a proper level, from the spiritual realm of gurus, because gurus are beyond the cycle of birth and death. Those rishis are beyond the cycle. That's why they are rishis and siddhas. They have been having that quality of not being into the cycle, but to be beyond that cycle. So they are always constantly there. Their blessings and their energy is constantly there. And there is a very fascinating point about the birth and death, and probably the time traveling and the time theory is bringing a much more light in this aspect from science. So those people are beyond time, and to connect with them, probably everybody has some sort of lineage guidances. For example, as you were saying, like whichever gotra or whichever lineage they are connected from, that is going to help them at some point in some generation, because that generation has to be prepared to be able to receive that guidance, right? So only when you look for an answer, the answer is going to come to you. If you are going to just close your mind and you then there is no open, when there is no question, there is no answer. So in some generation, even people just may not relate themselves with spirituality for few generations in some families, but then some of the generation again have that urge and quest to go with it. And when they have that real calling, probably this kind of this connection with this lineage and DNA is going to show them their own aspect of guru and guidance. And I will put it in my own way. I will say their karmic level. As they evolve from their karmic level, they are meant to arrive to the guru for whom they are supposed to arrive.
Very beautifully said. When you are ready, the Guru arrives. So I slowly want to move into your life and your experience with sound. I'm just imagining an 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old girl. That's what when I read about your life and story and what you told about, you started getting revelations in sound and which you are not used to. The language or the type of sound which you're hearing or listening or it is coming and you could receive it. And how was that experience when you first received it? Is it very soothing or it is reassuring or something which already you are used to, or it is something suddenly coming and you are scared about when you were offering first?
Definitely not scared, because such experience, when this kind of experience comes, that is the first thing one needs to see. It is not scary because it is just that your own memory or your own things that is being coming to you after a long time. So the first time when I was looking into the sound, it was just like, I feel it is very similar to a poet. It's if I put it in this way, it could be more relatable. The word just comes, it chooses you. So sometimes poem, you just like how you make a mala, how you make a garland, you just by word you make that, you flower by flower you make a garland. And similarly the word just comes to you and you just put it all together, then it becomes a poem. So at that point I would say it was like a poem. Some words comes up, just some words with the spanda, with the vibration, it just comes up. And yoga anubhava, for example, or a swarama buddhe, atma drishtihi, maybe. So something like that. It just comes up, and there is a gap, and then again a word comes, and I used to put it all together, and there is some phrase coming up. So it started like that, and it was actually very different, and something triggered me to write that down, because I wasn't a person who was having any system to sit and write, or I wasn't even a person who studied properly in my schooling. So it something motivated me to take a note and write whatever I was receiving. So it was bringing a lot of fascination, and it was a very gradual experience. And by 12 or 13 probably, it was like not a poem but rule, it was like a chanting. There was no word coming up, the word was pouring. So the experience was amazing. And what I would say is something, this is connected to the aspect of nada brahma, or aspect of the sound that is aligned to universe. So that's how I see it.
So I wanted to take this into two directions, two poles. I'll go on the first one direction and come back to take this conversation with the other direction. The first one is you say sound and you mentioned there are certain sound can you put that into a garland. A lot of people, the poets, they also get words like that and then they write it and they call that their own poem. In your case, you continue to say that it was revealed to you, it came from some other source or it came from the source, and then and then you give it to people so that for their own spiritual development or whatever their overall development. That's the way you've been using this song which came, which essentially become useful to the people in the world. Now, if I look back in the history about some of this revelation, if you take Prophet Muhammad for that matter, and he used to go and sit in the mountain when the sounds are revealed. And similarly, several saints in Christianity, and they had the similar experience in the deep silence, and the revelation happened. And in Sanatana Dharma, and where again sound played a very important role. So I would assume that you have received something similar and you have offered to the universe what is being received. And that is what the service you are doing to the whole world today. And there are a lot of followers and devotees of you are being benefited out of this great revelation coming through you. Now, in a custom of Sanatana Dharma, we have certain specific practices. We do puja. The puja, while a lot of actions related to puja involve offering flower, offering water, doing abhishek and all of it. It's a constant sound goes parallelly with it. No action is done without the sound in puja. Then you have people do namasmara. They pick up a certain name of a god. They keep repeating or they chant now name of God. And some people uses that based on certain guidance given by some spiritual person or a personality or a guru by putting together certain syllables like a seed mantra, like Bijakshana mantra, Om, Sreem, Reem, those kind of mantras they use, and also use certain deities' name and combine that and start doing japa. And people will start using the same name and form and constantly repeating and thinking about it and do certain type of meditation. And all of these have evolved over a period of thousands of years in our custom. And it is generally accepted that these are all the sound, these are all the method on which we do practices. For example, Gayatri Mantra, Mahamrit Mantra. Like it, there are standard mantras we use. Two questions to you on this. The mantras are the sound which you are generating, which is different from this. Sometimes it looks similar, but no of this mantra I've heard from. So what other mantras traditionally given or the Bijakshara given, I've not heard you. Here and in between that comes. That is one. So that means the question is what is different is coming from you. And second question is all these are sound. And all these are used by the spiritual aspirant for a different stages or different purposes. And what is the purpose of the kind of sound you are generating? And why would the person has to take your sound more than the other sound was given traditionally?
First of all, what has been given to us at tradition is amazing. And it has its own power, and it has been come from the Mahagurus and Maharishis. They being the seer, they just have been the channel, and that's how we have received all the Vedic chant and many specific chants. So all that is a very amazing and wonderful path, and there is a lot more to explore in that dimension. And every bijakra is a very dormant energy, and when you receive it in a right way, the dormant ever energy is awakened in you, and that gives a very deeper path which takes you towards you and the devata which you're chanting. So all this aspect has its own science and its own impact. And as you were mentioning, this every mantra and every sound has its own intention. For example, there are certain mantras which just portrays the beauty and glorify the deity, and we call that as shloka or stotras and namavalis and namasmaranam, all that. So that is more about engaging in bhakti margam and keeping the deity in our mind and getting fascinated, and just it just opens your heart center. It aligns you. So that is one kind. And there are specific mantras, and they say that it is good for you to know the meaning, recite it knowing the meaning. So that kind of mantra is for you to also contemplate. So not just chanting, you contemplate the meaning. So your mind, your thoughts, your intellects, your emotions, everything aligns together. Not just chanting and doing something in your mind. So you have something to contemplate. So all the Upanishad, everything comes under this. You have something to contemplate, and yours also have something to recite. Recited have its own energy revelation. At the same time, contemplation brings much more purification. So all your body mind is aligned. So sometimes it's good to know the meaning. So there are specific area that you know the meaning and do it. That there are specific areas which is beyond the meaning, the aspect of vibration and frequencies. So we just more focused on the spanda, the vibration. We are more focused on the purest of sound, which is beyond language. So that need not be sometimes a mantra. It can be a very very strong, even the damaru, or even a very very strong sound that helps one to go beyond the aspect of mind and get deeper. Help them to dive deeper into the energy rhythm and transcend. It just helps them to transcend their mind and get into the other realm of their being. So I feel the aspect of sound initially I was more looking into the language part of what I'm chanting and how this is making sense and all that. And at some point I just understood that when there is this prabaha, this is a flow happening, is just uh, aligns everyone, not just me, but aligns everyone to turn with it and takes us to the deep meditation. And I am also just a witness and I'm also just a channel. I wouldn't say it is my chanting because it just flows. So when that is flowing, it is helping uh, every seeker to just it helps to get over the aspect of mind, thoughts, and help them to get into the deeper dimension of themselves. So, this chantings or the sound or the nada pravaha, which is coming through the universe, is more to align with meditation and internal cleansing. And probably sound plays a very very important role in the inner realization. And sound is very very impartial. It's not going to know whether the person is a PhD and the other person is not a PhD. Sound is very straightforward. If you are receptive, it's going to work. And I feel in that way, that's why we in India tradition has always portrayed that Nadam Brahmam as something in a very very highest place, because it is something related directly to the energy realm. So, and also world needs the aspect of creativity to heal. And sound also plays a very important role in healing, because world needs that sattva aspect of sattva. So when you talk about the sound which comes through me, I feel it is more to align with healing and inner realization, aligning to the meditation and inner journey.
So I think we have done a very good beginning today on our, we will do the series of discussion further. Yes. But I wanted to take two things as a last part of our conversation today. Suppose if I need to talk to some common man, let's assume that there is a common man who is reasonably have an intellect and reasonable person, or a person who is there in a deeply in a high end of materialistic corporate industrial person, and the person who is highly spiritually focused. With these three individuals I need to introduce to them who is Balarishi, because mostly the world is going to look for, when we introduce, what they can get from you. So if somebody comes to, I know when I come to you, I get love. That is my experience. But if somebody comes to you of these three types, how can they come to you and what they can get from you, what they should look for? Because I've seen you doing pujas, I've seen you performing Guru pujas and Siddha pujas. It's a great experience. I've seen you doing homa. I've seen you initiating people with mantra. I've seen you doing Nada Kriya workshop where you are making people to prepare for a meditative experience, and it takes them to Raja Yoga and different yogic conditions. So now, how do I tell that, okay, you go to Balarishi, you get this? And these three individuals, if I need to get it. The first individual who's intellectually good, reasonably person, who is living in a normal worldly life, is nowhere connected to any spiritual thing. Let's say he's working in a bank, he goes to bank in the morning, work and come back in the evening. He has a family and he runs a happy family life. Okay. Then there's other person is a great achiever in the materialistic and worldly life. and is a businessman, industrialist, type of a corporate successful person. A third person who is extremely aligned and has got a lot of aspiration and interest in the spiritual life. These are the three individuals I meet, and I want to talk to them about Balarishi. What do I say?
What do you say? I myself wouldn't know what you'll say because see, life is very simple and straightforward. If we are meant to meet people, we will meet people. So nothing happens in coincidence. It just happens with some purpose. So every meeting has its own purpose. So I always feel when there is a conversation between me and someone, there is always a giving and receiving. So it's not just that they are receiving from me, from me, but they are also sharing and giving. There is a giving and receiving on both the ends. I learn a lot from people. And then when you're talking about people from different dimensions, maybe this past from my age of 10, I keep meeting people from different walks of life. And I understand that people from the intellectual realm has to have the aspect of being grounded, and making the life very simple. So I feel people have their own merits and their own uniqueness and their own challenges. And spirituality is not just for someone who just seeks inner clarity and inner quest. It's for people who are in day-to-day life. Spirituality is going to help people who has materialistic challenge and who has passion but they wouldn't know how to achieve it. And spirituality is not against passion. So it is going to bring them to a state where they can be in the center. So they can just be in the present and flow with the life very beautifully. So it is going to help every walk of life. So intellectuals, probably I feel sometimes they have to just find the balance of being grounded. And as I see more people, probably I just will be in a place where I can interact and I can share my experience of how to be in the present and how to flow beautifully with the aspect of life. And every individuals are unique in their own way. And so
So, the way I understand is you have a special way of interacting and imparting with every individual, and it depends upon that individual. You cannot categorize individual what they can get from you or what they can give it to you. If they come and experience you, then they might get some solace on their own terms.
absolutely. And see, if you want to categorize, probably an intellectual needs an connection with intuition. So they understand how the intellectual works, intellectual. There is always some people from the experienced realm always questions the intellectual people because they are very logical and intellectual. But that is also part of our mind, and we have to embrace the aspect of big intellect. So sometimes I feel that intellectual has a lot of greater things to contribute to the society, and if they have a deeper connection with their intuition and their inner realm, it is going to bridge their inner insight with their intellect. So it is going to bring a lot more clarity, for example, for an author or a writer or for a person who has a lot of ideas about science. So when you're talking about a materialistic person, I would say that they have all rights to dream and they have all rights to have passion. And spirituality is not just to close your eyes and meditate and renounce. It's going to help you to attain what you want and at the same time makes you feel grounded and comfortable in the way you are. So it is going to keep your life more simple. Mind is always either anticipating what could go wrong or thinking about why this happened to me. So for materialistic people or people who has a lot of ambitions and ambitions and passion towards life, I would say spirituality helps them to extract it in a very very simple way so they could understand what they are doing. And at the end of the day, it suggests that if it is something that I'm resonating with and I could help them, definitely I will be part of that.
Thank you, madam. In the interest of audience to have a glimpse about you, and if you can, if it possible, and if it is appropriate, and if you can do a chant, that will really help.
Shivananda Paratandreshwara Narananda Shivoham Ah